Good evening. I'm Lee Baxter. I'm Old Man History. I decided to come out on my porch this evening and sit here and enjoy the cool, crisp evening. It's April the 7th, 2022. I decided to give you a little overview of my YouTube channel and what you might expect if you subscribe or watch my channels. I would hope you will subscribe to my channel and like it and share it with your friends and neighbors. When I look at the word history and I think about what history is, I break the word apart, and the word just basically says his story. And that's exactly what history is. History is my story. It's your story. It's our story. It's mankind's story. And I have discovered in my years of family research that I found some pretty disturbing stories. I found some stories to celebrate. I've found some stories that called for happy times and times of mourning. That's exactly what history is. History is simply a record. History is a record of my family, your family. It's a record of what happens to everybody's family. It's not always pretty. It's not always clean. Sometimes it's very ugly and dirty. But whatever it is, it's just a record. So don't hate people who who like history, or they tell a story about history. There is a lot of mistakes we've made in the past as as our human race has made in the past. A lot of mistakes. And hopefully we can learn from those mistakes. But the importance of history is, if we don't know what happened in the past, we can't learn from our mistakes. We can't learn from Gettysburg if we don't know what happened at Gettysburg. We can't learn from our mistakes if we just think that a statue somewhere is a symbol of hatred. Robert E. Lee, of course, I don't know him personally, but when you think about Robert E. Lee, by some, he was hailed as a hero, and he was a role model, and he's looked up to. I don't know. I don't know what to think about Robert E. Lee, really. I like some of the stories I've read about him, but when you think about the fact that when Robert E. Lee wasn't the one who decided to take the South away from the Union, that was done by other people. It was done by politicians. Robert E. Lee was a soldier. His plantation, his home was in Virginia. So when Virginia seceded from the Union, Robert E. Lee still lived in Virginia. He couldn't give his plantation away and move to Pennsylvania or to Ohio. He still had to live in Virginia, and he wanted to protect his home. If we had a split in our country today, I live in Ohio. If the people that I more politically aligned with lived somewhere else, I couldn't just up and leave my home that I built. I'm not a rich man. I couldn't do that. So I may be accused of being a traitor if I stayed here and lived in my home. So the rank and file soldiers that fought in the Civil War, whether they were Confederate or Union, you can't group them, and you can't think of them in a negative or a positive light just because of what side they fall on. There are some Russian soldiers, I'm sure, that are horrified by what they have found themselves involved in Ukraine. And then there are some very bad soldiers who just blindly follow and refuse to acknowledge the evil that they are upholding. And so we've got to look at the past, and we've got to learn from the past. History is very important. So please remember, if you find something that you think is offensive on my channel, I won't apologize for it. But what I will do is let you know I'm just giving you a record. Some of the record that I give you may have a little bit of my opinion in there, because I am an opinionated man sometimes. But for the most part, I'm going to give you a record. And that's what history is. History is a record. It's a record of my story. It's a record of your story. I hope you will enjoy the upcoming videos. I'm going to be doing some family stories. I have a video already on my channel. I've got 2 videos before this one on my channel. One is about the old homestead where I picked the ghost flowers. And I kind of enjoyed that because I grew up hearing that story about that family. And so that's part of my life. The United Mine Workers story is part of my life. My dad was a United Mine Worker staff rep. So to find out and discover that the United Mine Workers was founded and created in a cave in New Straitsville, Ohio, was pretty interesting to me. But I just wanted to talk to you and give you this overview. I want to encourage you to like my channel and subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. And if you have any suggestions, it'll go on a long list behind my things I've already got on a list. But if it's really interesting, it just may spur me to go and do a video on that. So like my channel, subscribe, and we'll see you down the road. You have a good evening.